3 decades after leaving, the US eyes a comeback in the Philippines. Subic Bay, once a crown jewel of American power in Asia, could soon host troops, warehouses, and weapons production. China watches. Manila weighs security against sovereignty. Jobs, politics, and geopolitics collide. A strategic pivot is underway, and the balance of power in the South China Sea hangs in the balance. Three decades after the United States shut down its massive naval base in the Philippines, the Bay once again sits at the heart of a high-stakes balancing act. The Philippines weighing US security guarantees against China's economic leverage and growing military pressure in the South China Sea. According to the Defense Post and multiple media outlets citing lease documents, the US Navy has requested proposals to lease a 25 78 square metre climate-controlled warehouse and maintenance shop, along with exterior laydown and parking areas inside the Subic Bay Metropolitan Authority Freeport. The proposed lease would run 5 years, with operations expected to begin by September 2026. A separate US Navy solicitation issued in April outlined a similar requirement for 19,979 to 33,022 square metres of storage in Subic Bay or nearby Clark, indicating a sustained push to re-establish a logistics footprint. US officials have emphasised that the planned hub is not intended for munitions stockpiling. Instead, it will provide secure storage and maintenance for vehicles and vehicle equipment, with capacity for up to 60 to 63 personnel. The site must be located within 16 kilometres of the Naval Supply Depot and within the Subic Bay Freeport zone. Criteria designed to keep it close to existing US Marine Corps prepositioning programs. Alongside the Navy's warehouse plan, US and Philippine officials have greenlit a separate munitions plant, described by Philippine authorities as potentially the world's largest weapons manufacturing hub. That facility is aimed at boosting Philippine defense self-reliance while strengthening the US forward posture in the region. Subic Bay holds enduring strategic, economic, and symbolic value for the Philippines and the wider Asia-Pacific. Historically, it was home to the largest US naval base in Asia from 1901 until 1992, serving as the primary repair, resupply, and logistics hub for the US Navy during World War II, the Vietnam War, and the Cold War. Its deep water port and natural protection from typhoons made it an invaluable forward base. After the Philippine Senate ended US basing rights in 1992, the military infrastructure remained intact and has since been leveraged through renewed defense cooperation. Under the 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, expanded US access has enabled joint exercises, logistics support, and rapid deployments, reinforcing the Philippines' defense posture amid rising tensions with China. Subic Bay today plays a central role in drills such as the Balikatan exercises, underscoring its continuing military relevance. Geographically, Subic Bay is located on the west coast of Luzon, granting direct access to the South China Sea, one of the world's busiest trade corridors and a hotbed of territorial disputes. This location allows rapid projection of naval, air, and amphibious forces across the first island chain, offering strategic depth to the defense strategies of both the Philippines and its allies. It functions as a hedge against Chinese maritime expansion and supports efforts to maintain a balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region. Economically, Subic Bay has evolved into the Subic Bay Freeport zone, transforming from a military outpost into a thriving commercial and industrial hub. It supports shipping, ship repair, logistics, and foreign investment, contributing significantly to the Philippine economy while still serving dual civilian and military roles. Symbolically, Subic embodies the US-Philippine alliance and remains central to debates over sovereignty, regional security, and the shifting military balance in Asia. The return of the US military to the Philippines Subic Bay would mark a transformative moment in Asia-Pacific security and alliance dynamics, underscoring Washington's resolve to counterbalance China while also reshaping Philippine domestic politics and economic prospects. Subic Bay, once a crown jewel of US operations until the early 1990s, now emerges again as a prime candidate for rapid deployment, storage, and forward logistics, especially against the backdrop of intensifying superpower rivalry. The US Defense Appropriations Act for 2026 highlights this urgency, citing the absence of a forward-positioned ammunition plant in the Indo-Pacific. Such a facility would enable quick resupply and sustainment during a high-end conflict, especially in a Taiwan contingency, while also mitigating risks associated with lengthy logistics routes and contested maritime regions, thereby reducing overdependence on mainland US stockpiles. Paired with Subic Bay's geography, the Philippines' location turns it into a natural sustainment and power projection hub.
The Philippines' location along key intra-theater lift routes makes it an obvious candidate for forward sustainment nodes, placing Subic at the heart of the U.S. First Island Chain strategy to contain China through Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines.
This First Island Chain architecture remains a central pillar of U.S. regional defenses, linking Japan, Taiwan, and the Philippines into a functional barrier to Chinese expansion. Subic Bay's revival enhances rapid operational reach into the South China Sea, expands maritime patrols, and supports intelligence, surveillance, and logistics integration with allies. Enhanced defense cooperation agreement activities, already numbering in the hundreds annually, would likely expand further in scale and complexity as Subic becomes the anchor for allied interoperability. Yet the development transcends military calculations. Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr. signaled receptiveness to Washington's interest in ammunition production and storage, seeing benefits for local resilience, job creation, and technology transfer.
Any production entity which would be of benefit to the Philippines, not only in terms of our resilience, but improving, giving employment, and other technological transfers that might be encouraged.
Such a facility could catalyze the Philippines' defense industrial sector, provide economic incentives for local communities, and reduce Manila's heavy reliance on foreign suppliers. By serving simultaneously as a logistics hub and an economic node, Subic Bay is poised to strengthen not just deterrence, but also Philippine self-reliance. Nevertheless, the return also intertwines with domestic politics. Scholar Alvin Kamba argues that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s pro-US stance is less about alliance loyalty and more a strategy to diminish rivals from the Duterte camp and harness public outrage over China's maritime incursions.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s approach to the U.S. is a political survival strategy, one that involves aligning more closely with the U.S. to weaken the rival Duterte dynasty and exploit public anger over Chinese maritime incursions. Marcos Jr.'s acceptance of additional EDCA bases and other U.S. facilities and pursuit of stronger defense ties with Japan, Australia, and South Korea are strategies to consolidate his own political power and marginalize Duterte-aligned elites.
However, constitutional constraints temper ambitions. The Philippine Constitution forbids foreign bases without Senate approval, highlighting likely limits on full U.S. control.
It is unlikely the U.S. will regain complete control of Subic, as the Philippine Constitution expressly prohibits foreign bases on Philippine territory unless approved by the country's Senate.
Thus, rather than a Cold War-era megabase, Subic is envisioned as a modern, scaled-down hub designed for forward sustainment and rapid crisis response. Its reactivation would be one of the most consequential US military developments in the Philippines since the 1990s. Strategically, it strengthens deterrence against China in both the South China Sea and a Taiwan contingency, integrates Philippine forces more deeply with US and allied militaries, and underscores Washington's determination to secure critical sea lanes. Politically, it locks the Philippines more firmly into the US orbit while sparking sovereignty debates at home. Ultimately, Subic Bay's revival captures the convergence of strategic necessity, economic opportunity, and political manoeuvring. For the US, it re-establishes a linchpin in its Indo-Pacific security architecture. For Manila, it provides security assurances, industrial benefits, and political leverage while reawakening old debates about foreign presence on Philippine soil.